All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about a piece of technology that's quietly powering some of the biggest apps you use every single day. It's called Apache Kafka, and you can think of it as the invisible engine that prevents total digital chaos. We're going to explore how it transforms a really fragile system of dominoes into a rock-solid data fortress.
So, what do these things have in common? It's a good question, right? I mean, on the surface, they seem completely different. But underneath it all, they both have to deal with this massive, nonstop flood of real-time info. Orders, clicks, location updates, you name it. The real secret is how they manage that data stream. And more often than not, the tool they're using is Apache Kafka. Now, to really get why Kafka is such a big deal, we first have to understand the problem it was built to solve. Picture an e-commerce store built with microservices, these little independent services for stuff like orders, payments, and shipping. It looks super clean on paper, but in the real world, it can create a seriously fragile system. This right here is what's called tight coupling, and it is a recipe for disaster. So an order comes in, and the order service has to just sit there and wait for the payment service to give it a thumbs up. But what happens if that payment service is slow, or worse, it just crashes? Well, the whole chain reaction just grinds to a halt. One falling domino knocks over the entire line, leaving your customers staring at a spinning wheel, and you with a pile of lost sales. So, how do we fix this absolute nightmare? Well, we have to stop these services from talking directly to each other. We need a middleman, and that is exactly where Apache Kafka steps in. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a central post office for all of your application's data. Now, that's the official, kind of nerdy definition. It was actually born at LinkedIn to handle their insane scale of activity data, and they gifted it to the open source community way back in 2011. But, distributed event store, that phrase doesn't really do justice to how elegant the idea really is. So here's how this post office thing actually works. Instead of services calling each other and waiting around, they just drop off a data package or an event at the Kafka post office. The order service basically says, hey, here's a new order, drops it in the mailbox, and boom, it immediately goes back to work. It completely trusts that the post office will handle the rest. Okay, let's take a peek inside and see how this post office is organized. First up, you've got producers. These are your senders, the services dropping off the data packages. They put them into specific mail slots called topics, which are like different sorting departments for orders, payments, and so on. Now, to handle a huge volume of mail, each topic is split into partitions. Think of these like individual mail clerks who can all work at the same time, which makes the whole system crazy scalable. And finally, you have your consumers. These are the recipients. They just subscribe to the topics they care about and pick up their mail whenever they're ready. No rush. And this brings us to Kafka's secret weapon, its absolute superpower, data persistence. See, most old-school message systems are like live TV. If a consumer service is down when a message gets sent, poof, it missed it, it's gone forever. But Kafka is like Netflix. The data is saved, it's stored durably in a log. Consumers can watch it on their own schedule. They can pause, rewind, or even have totally different services watch the same data for different reasons. This is a total game changer. So we have this incredible system. It's scalable, it's resilient, it lets data flow freely between all our services. Everything seems perfect, right? Well, there's a huge catch, a hidden vulnerability that honestly way too many teams just completely overlook. I absolutely love this quote from OpenLogic because it just paints such a vivid, perfect picture. We spend all this time and energy building firewalls and securing the outside of our systems. We create this hardened outer shell, but we forget that the inside, the communication network, is left all soft and, well, gooey, totally vulnerable. So let me just say it plainly, because this is the crucial point. Out of the box with its default settings, Kafka has pretty much zero security. Any person or any service on your network can just connect, read whatever data they want, and write whatever data they want. It's literally the same as building this amazing data fortress and then leaving the back door wide open with no guards in sight. Okay, so that sounds pretty scary. But the good news is, we can absolutely lock that door and build a truly secure system. It just takes a little bit of work and following a few core security principles that are non-negotiable for any serious production environment. First things first, you have to control who gets in the door, period. This means authenticating every single client and broker. You need to know exactly who is connecting. Then, once you know who they are, you use something called access control lists, or ACLs, to define precisely what they're allowed to do. Can the inventory service read from the orders topic? Yep. Can it write to it? No way. All right, next up, you've got to protect the data itself as it's zipping around your system. I mean, you wouldn't send your credit card number on a postcard for the whole world to read, right? So you should never send your data over your network in plain text. This means you have to enable TLS encryption for everything. It basically wraps your data in a secure envelope so nobody can snoop on it while it's in transit. And finally, and this is so important, security isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. It is a constant state of vigilance. That means keeping your software up to date with the latest security patches. It means auditing your logs and actually looking for weird activity. You should be automating security scanning right into your development process. And don't forget, this vigilance has to extend to everything else that plugs into Kafka too. Look, I get it. All of this might sound like a whole lot of extra work. It's always tempting to just run with the defaults and, hope for the best. But taking shortcuts when it comes to security is a massive gamble you just can't afford to take. Because the stakes are just incredibly high. And we're not just talking about the millions of dollars in fines or recovery costs. A data breach can completely shatter your company's reputation and destroy the trust your customers have in you. And that's something money often can't buy back. And this quote just gets right to the heart of it. It is so tempting to take the easy path, but securing your systems, that is fundamental to doing your job right. It's about professionalism, it's about responsibility. And when you think about the catastrophic cost of failure, doing the hard work to secure your data is always, always worth it. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. As you look at your own systems and the way your data flows through them, is that journey truly secure? Or is there a gooey center with an unlocked back door just waiting for someone to wander through?